Are you worrying your life away? Are you worrying your life away? Oftentimes we are worrying our lives away. So we are full of worry. We're worried about how we're going to pay this, how we're going to do this, how we're going to do this. We're worried about all these things. And so what I think about when I think about worrying is it diminishes our present. It robs us of our present. It robs us of our future. And so what we have to be thinking about is whatever it is that you're worrying about, take it to a piece of paper and write down what you're worried about. And then write down what happens. What will happen if the thing that you're worried about happens? What will happen? And then look at, okay, what can I do to keep this from happening? Is it save some money? Is it get some help? Is it to do this? What is it that you can do if this thing you're worried about, if it actually happens? I can tell you right now, it's not going to be the end of the world. I can tell you right now. I can tell you right now, there's things that you can do to keep this thing that you're worried about from happening. And I can tell you that if the thing that you're worrying about happens, there's a lesson to be learned, and there's an opportunity for you to make something out of that thing that happened. These worries, that things that happen, if it happens, you're going to be stronger. You're going to be wiser if you're paying attention to the lessons. You're going to be better. So just know that all we can do when we're worrying about something is write it down on a piece of paper and write down, if it happens, what's the worst that could happen? And then write down, what can I do to keep it from happening? Or if it happens, what will be the next step? What's the next 3 to 5 steps? What do I need to do? And so oftentimes we're worried about things that we can change. We can do something about it. We don't have to just sit around worrying, wasting our lives. You just think about, you worry about something for 2 weeks and it doesn't happen, and you've lost 2 weeks of your life, hours and hours of your life. So think about it today. This thing that you're worried about, stop worrying by taking charge of your life, writing it down on a piece of paper, figuring out what's the next step. What are you going to do? And so I was reading a book by Patrick Bet-David, and he talks about moves, knowing the next 3 to 5 moves. And I think that's so valuable, that we don't just wait for things to happen, that we're preparing, that we know if we live in a flood zone, we live in a tornado zone, we live in an area that the power goes out all the time. We in an area economy as far as industry that is going belly up. We see things changing in the world, and if you hadn't been out, you could just kind of see things are changing. That what do we need to do? What do we need to do? What skills do we need to learn? What change do we need to make in our houses? What do we need to prepare? If the power goes out, what hotel can we go to? What's the plan? How much money will I need? If the whatever happens, if it floods, or where's the closest place I can go? What can I go to prepare? How much money do I need to live off of? If the power's out for a week, or if I don't have a place, if I need a place to live for a week, where can I go? What are we going to eat? You just start thinking about things ahead of time instead of waiting in front of television while the news makes you worry about things you can't control. If a tornado hits your area, a hurricane hits your area, an earthquake hits your area, a wildfire, you ought to have a plan. You ought to know what you're going to do. Like, before it happens, you ought to know what you're going to do. If you're new to the area, you already know this is going to happen. You got to make sure you have money, you have a place to go, credit card, something you could charge, whatever it is, whatever, you need to have a plan. Don't just wait for it to happen. And so if you have, your how many years from retirement, you think about how much money you got to have for retirement. And so you got to have money to live. The cost of healthcare is expensive. So what can you do to start planning? I think we wait too late to start planning. We worry about these things happening. If you're worried about getting fired, plan right now. Don't let somebody control your future. If you know you're going to get fired, or you think you're going to get fired, you see people getting laid off, pay attention. Have a plan in place. What's the contingency plan? If I lose my job today, this is what I got to do. This is the plan. I'm gonna get these 2 skills, and so if I lose my job, I'm gonna do this. I've always loved doing this. I'm gonna double down on this. I make a little money with this. Whatever it is, you got to have a plan. Don't just wait for somebody else to tell you that whatever it is, you got to start planning ahead. Don't just wait until something happens. Don't let worry control your life when you can change. You can make your life better. You can, by planning ahead, by thinking ahead, by having a plan. This is what I'm going to do. If this happens, this is what I'm going to do. If this happens, you just know, we know that no job is secure. So if you improve your skills, you can get a job doing this. If you know that with pandemic, we all should be working towards 3 years of savings, because anything can happen. We don't know what's going to happen. So if we got 3 years of money in the bank saved, if something happens, we have this money we can go to. We don't have to be controlled by, what's happening. We can take care of our families. We can do all these different things that will help us. So whatever you're worried about today, think about a plan. Like, what if this happens? What do I need to do? How can I plan ahead? If this happens, what's the first step I need to take? What's the second step? Don't just keep worrying your life away. Make some changes today. Have a plan. What's the worst thing that could happen? What do you need to do right now? Stop putting it off. Do it right now. Do it right now.